Thursday, September 8th, 2022, Roanoke County School Board meeting. We've been in closed session. Great to see so many smiling faces out here. Mr. Hudson, would you read us back in out of closed, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, I move that the Roanoke County School Board come out of closed session for the following: for consultation with legal counsel and briefings by staff members pertaining to actual or probable litigation and consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel pursuant to 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia, to discuss the investigation of a student matter pursuant to the Scholastic Record Exemption at 2.2-3711A2 of the Code of Virginia. Also move to certify to the best of each member's knowledge only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under this chapter, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the meeting by the school board.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Mr. Conway?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bajani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am. Item 2.03, action from closed session.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Ray.
I have a religious exemption for RE 2022, 2023, student 15 and 16.
I'll second that. Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bajani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am. Any additional action from closed?
Mr. Chairman, I move that Roanoke County School Board agreed to vote on a proposed amendment to the superintendent's contract and waive the requirements of the Virginia Code Section 22.1-60D. I move that Roanoke County School Board approve and authorize the chairman to sign the revised superintendent's
Actually,
contract.
sorry, Mr. Greenway, we need to vote on that first motion.
The first one.
Yes. I'll second that. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bajani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
All right. Second motion, I guess. I thought they were together. I'm sorry. I move that the Roanoke County School Board approve and authorize the chairman to sign the revised superintendent's contract that was proposed in closed session, which provides the superintendent a 7% raise and a one-time payment for 24 days of leave that he lost when he was first appointed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bajani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right, again, welcome. It's nice to see so many people here this evening, young faces. And with that, if everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 4, announcement of changes in the agenda. Anybody?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Bajani?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Hudson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Linden?
Yes, ma'am. Item number 5.01. School spotlight tonight is Penn Forest Elementary School.
Yahoo.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, school board members, and Dr. Nicely. We are here again to do our spotlight on schools, and we are so fortunate this evening to have Miss Jenny Griffin, the principal at Penn Forest, and quite a few folks with her who want to share with you about their school. So at this time, I'll go ahead and invite her to come forward.
Well, it's an honor to be here, and we appreciate the opportunity just to come and tell you a little bit about our school. Before I start, I just wanted to officially tell you guys as a board how much we appreciated outpouring of support from you guys during some difficult times at Penn Forest this year. Sometimes it can feel like a thankless job, so thank you for all the things you do for us, and it just was very heartfelt and very appreciated. So I wanted to, on the behalf of the staff, thank you guys very much for that. I get to talk about one of my favorite things today. Back in 1998, I got the opportunity to represent as a teacher at Penn Forest Elementary. And so life has taken me in a full circle, and now I'm very honored to be the principal here. And one of my favorite things is to talk about all the great things going on in Roanoke County schools, and then specifically our school too. So I've got several slides, and I've also got several people coming to join me today just to tell you a little bit about our school. So we just start with a picture, and we've got some slides over here to the side. Penn Forest Elementary School, of course, I'm the principal. You'll meet Ms. Vaught Jenkins in just a minute. It's on Southwest County, located on Merriman Road. It was built in 1972. So we celebrated our 50th anniversary this year, and we'll talk a little bit about that in just a minute. It was a unique building when it first started because it was an open classroom environment. So several years ago, we did close in our walls, which changed the structure of the building a little bit. Our enrollment runs around 430 students, and we have about 83 staff members, which it's pretty high for an elementary school. We house the area's REAP program, and REAP is the Roanoke Education Autism Program. We have 16 kids located in that program. They all have one-on-one aides, and we have 2 teachers. And we very much appreciate the board's support of our program with all of that. We have some things that we have done this year and last year. Certainly COVID times were difficult, and one thing that we really pride ourselves on at Penn Forest is making it a great place for all of our staff, all of our students, and all of our teachers. So we started off last year thinking, how can we make this a fun and inviting place for all of us? So we added a mascot last year. So I want you guys all to have the opportunity to meet Hootie. So we brought Hootie with us. Just because we want you guys to feel what it feels like at Penn Forest. So we can clap for Hootie.
Hootie security.
So we do have very tight security for Hootie. He is very high profile and very important. And so we wanted you to get that.
Be careful,
Just be-
Hootie. Don't, watch out.
We don't want to have any mishaps.
Hi, Hootie.
So just like, we're basically a room full of adults, and you guys got excited to come in here, and Hootie can have a seat if you would like. But we wanted you to just see what that's done for our kids too, because all the things we do at Penn Forest, I don't know if the chairs are really owl tailored.
We need more than security.
Yes, I know. And this is a great way to introduce you to my assistant principal. This is Miss Vaught Jenkins. She looks a little incognito today. But one of her many jobs is security, so we're glad to have her. Hootie was affectionately named by our students. One thing we all like to do is keep it all student-centered, and that goes along with our PBIS that we'll talk a lot about. So we had a name the mascot contest because I didn't feel like it was right for me just to tell them what the name of the owl was, even though we are the owls. So we had, the kids got to vote, and we narrowed it down. Ranger was a close second. So we have Hootie's Cafe in our school. And of course, kids sometimes, their parents wonder about if he was related to a singer. So as you in a certain age group get that joke. But Hootie makes his way to a lot of special events for us here at the school, and he also makes his way about once a week. He'll show up at dismissal and wave to all the kids, and just the joy that the kids get in getting to see him really makes it a much better place for the kids to be. So the next slide is just kind of like what Penn Forest has been kind of known for, and we've been really very proud of the high achievement we've made in our testing. Last year, of course, was a very challenging year for all of us with the COVID gaps and the loss in learning. So again, thanks to the board for all of your efforts in support of our remediation efforts. We completely redid how we did remediation at Penn Forest last year. We did a whole new RISE approach with our reading, and each grade level looked completely different based on the needs of where the kids were. So we looked at our data, we let it be data-driven, and we made sure all of the things that we were doing with our kids was research-based. The gains that they showed was incredible, as shown by the end-of-the-year data. We didn't want to give all of our attention just to reading, so we gave equal attention to math, and the kids got math remediation Monday through Thursday as well, and that was all data-driven. So if you looked at where the kids were at the very beginning of the year and looked at where they were at the end of the year, it was a very big success, and we look to do the same thing this year. So Great instruction. We're very proud of all of our teachers. We're driven by our teachers. We have an excellent staff. And of course, you don't get great results without great people. Strong community. We have a wonderful parent community that gets behind us, and I'll show you some more information about that as well. But I think what a lot of people, when they think about Penn Forest, certainly is our playground. And it kind of, we have people that come in our playground all the time. And we love being a focal part of the community. We love having the kids get to enjoy that. And of course, after school hours, letting the community do that. And it was a beautiful blend of community and local companies coming together to support that effort. And so we've been very appreciative for that. The one that you're seeing on the screens replaced Freedom Playground. That was one of the first fully handicapped accessible playgrounds in the area. This one was built in 2014. And we're getting fencing around that soon, and we're very appreciative to the board for that as well. As I mentioned earlier, we just celebrated our 50th year, so we made, if you love your school as much as we do, you got to have a big celebration. And so I know I got to see several of you guys there as well, and we appreciated some of our school board, appreciate the three of you guys that I saw there, and then some of our central office staff too. So we had a big party for our school. The rain decided to come right as we did that, but what the idea was is we had a huge sign out front. You'll see that we had inflatables. We had a touch the truck, so we tried to think about what makes Penn Forest great, and it's also our connection with community. So we had local fire and rescue there. The kids got to touch the truck. There was a canine unit there for the kids to get to meet people, get to have that experience. And we had support from Roanoke County Police Department and the Sheriff's Department that were there as well. The other slide you're seeing is we had a special presentation. We had invited all the former administrators that could make it, and we kind of did a journey through the 50 years of Penn Forest. What was it start to finish of where we are now, and what was it like to open a brand new school? And so that was a really, really cool thing just to hear from all of them. It ended with a magic show that I'll show you a little picture of too, but I also wanted you to see some slides about what our staff did. So our staff got all behind it. We had a 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and then I didn't quite know what happened in 2010, how you decorate for that, but we tried. And all the halls were decorated a different decade to represent what was going on in the decade that time, and the kids loved it. The staff really got behind it, and the school was just electric that week and beyond. We ended the night with a magic show. I was put on the spot and was told to put some toilet paper in my mouth and made that cool thing over on the side. You do anything for kids. So the next slide just talks to you a little bit about some of the fun events that we do at Penn Forest. We're very involved, and we try to do as many things as we can to keep learning fun and engagement fun for our kids. Our fun run is our biggest fundraiser and event at the school. Our goal is to raise almost $20,000 this year. That goes back to our school. We were close to that last year. As part of our PBIS, the kids earned a school-wide incentive of a glow party. So that was neon and black lights and dancing. So how could you complain, right? We have pumpkins on the playground. We have a golf tournament, field day, of course, Egg My Yard, PTA Fun Day, which was like carnival games outside. And we did all that despite COVID. So I was very proud. Like, we didn't use that as an excuse. We just got creative, and we tried to figure out ways to do things. We have something called Soaring Striders, and SOAR is our PBIS acronym, so we worked that into our Run Club. This year, we have 90 kids already signed up 3rd through 5th. We had to cut it off 3rd through 5th because we had so many kids. But the really cool thing is we have parent involvement, but we have over 10 staff members that are going to help volunteer their time every Monday and run with kids, which I think is phenomenal. We also pride ourselves on how we give back to the community. So last year we raised over 2,000 cans for soups for seniors. We raised thousands of dollars for the American Heart Association in honor of Wyatt, who was a former Penn Forest a student, and his two siblings go there now. Over 1,000 pairs of socks for the Socks for the Rescue Mission. We had an online Veterans Day assembly, and we also made cards for the Virginia Veterans Care Center when we were there that we shared with the school assembly, the school community. We also do cool things like this picture here. why not have a Nutcracker museum? We tried to do fun things like that where the kids got surprised, and a lot of our kids might not have ever had those opportunities. So we had over 100 Nutcrackers that were provided by students and staff, and the kids got to go by and see it. We had a crackling fire and the ambiance, and we just wanted to make it a place that was a memory for the kids. Towards the end of the year last year, when we got the green light to do some events, I tried to jump on that really quickly just to give them something that they would remember for the year. And so we had a huge STEAM night, and you'll see pictures here. Hootie made an appearance. You'll see me with Hootie. Hootie was very tall that night. And there's a photo booth there. And the school, it was just the first time that we were able to open things back up. And just the parents, it was flooded with people. It was flooded with kids who could not be more excited to be there. There was a hot dog dinner by our PTA. The next slide is the coolest thing, and y'all are all invited if you'd like to come, because we're bringing this back. The slide before that is we invited the engineering department and the outreach department of Virginia Tech to be part of our STEM night. So they had some really cool things with force and motion and static. But the coolest thing is the thing that you see on the right, where the kids, and some of you may think it's cool, or you might not, I'm not sure, but they got to touch sheep brain with gloves if they wanted. And I kind of didn't know how that was going to go. So I kind of hid that in the library. I was like, I don't know if kids are really going to do it. The line was crazy. I had parents that were very involved that night because they wanted to come and see the sheep brain, and they got to touch the different parts that control different parts of the sheep, and they just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and have already asked me, are we doing it again this year? And the answer is, of course. The next slide also shows you that I wanted to showcase all the great things that we already have in our schools. So we had stations where we got all the things out that we're already doing with kids, but their parents might not have been able to see it. And so we got to let them help program robots and all kinds of things that they wouldn't know that they are doing at school. And we wanted that to be a family kind of thing. That is in our DLL, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. And then we wanted to take it further. So we were, again, grateful for all the resources we had for summer school, and we had the chance to remediate kids in summer school, but we wanted to kind of take some of the things like our deeper learning that we've been doing in Roanoke County and apply that to summer school. So those are pictures from our summer school. And that's not traditionally what you would think of when you think of summer school, perhaps, but we tried to really work all the deeper learning ideas and all the hands-on ideas to how we remediated our kids over the summer too. To kind of go along with what we want to do here at Penn Forest. It's all about the families. I have a sweet little picture of one of our families at one of our events next. And then one more slide. This is where I get very excited because I feel like we do many great things at Penn Forest. And as a division, I'm very proud of the PBIS initiatives that we have been doing. And we embraced that in our first full year last year. And now I'm excited to say we reached Tier 2 fidelity going into this coming year. And I would love to tell you about it, but I think it comes a lot better from one of our students. So I have a kindergarten student joining me today, Mr. Lincoln Yingling, and his mom is going to help hold him up because the microphone is really high. And he's going to come here.
How cute is he?
Okay. So Lincoln, we have an acronym, right, at Penn Forest, and it's called SOAR, right? So like the S stands for safe. What does the O stand for?
Offering kindness.
Yeah, what does the A stand for?
Acting responsibly.
And the R?
Respectful.
Good job. So if you do, I know, that deserves, you did better than Hootie. That was great. All right, so if you do that, you get one of these things here. What is that?
A SOAR ticket.
A SOAR ticket, right? And when that comes up to the office, what do I do with this?
You read it and tell our names on the intercom.
Which is pretty big deal, right? And then you get your name.
On an owl.
And you guys can see over here all the owls. And we take those down every 9 weeks and we replenish those with new little owlets up there, right? Now, some kids, and we keep data on that, just like we do with other things. So how many kids have gotten safety? How many kids have gotten offer kindness? Things like that, right? And then if we find a student that has gotten in all 4 areas of the SOAR, they get something really special. And Lincoln was one of our kids that did this last year, so he's brought something to show you guys. What is that you've got? That's pretty awesome.
Can you describe it to them?
A keychain.
Keychain.
with my picture with Hootie.
Oh,
Yeah. So now they can have that on their backpacks or they can take it home and just remember all the great choices they made at Penn Forest. Anything else? No? Oh, we had one more thing. Did you want to still say the pledge? Or no? Yeah? Okay. The SOAR pledge, we say it every morning.
Each day we practice safety, offer kindness, act responsibly, and demonstrate respect. Penn Forest Owl Soar.
Good job. So he's going to come up and let y'all see his keychain. Because he's very proud of it.
So cute.
I figured it didn't matter how I did. If I brought him, it just made everything great.
Raise the bar.
nice.
Miss Griffin, he was watching himself on TV.
Well, he's pretty famous now. So,
he is.
So in addition to our PBIS, we also fully embraced, Hootie's giving him a high five, that's awesome. We fully embraced deeper learning. It's something that's really close to my heart of how I think kids should learn. And I'm just incredibly proud of how we've done that at Penn Forest in just our first year of just really hitting that last year. We developed a lesson plan that we use for the school just to address all the parts and all the shifts. I did a lot of PD with my staff on what that should look like, and then we had time for them to collaborate together to put lessons together and bounce ideas off each other, and we tried to free up some time for them to be able to work some on that as well. We also renovated one of the rooms at Penn Forest into a deeper learning lab, because as we know, time is not something we all have a lot of, especially when we're busy as teachers. And I wanted to make sure that all the resources that they might need for these kinds of lessons were at their fingertips. So they can give us a list of things they need. We get donations from parents, and we buy things and we keep it stocked in the lab to be a place inspiring to kids, to make it easier for teachers to do those kinds of lessons, and to have all the materials that they need. So we're very excited about that as well. So I've told you about a lot of the great things going, and it goes well because of the great people we have at Penn Forest. And our staff is absolutely amazing, and I brought one of our staff members here to share with you today. So I want to invite Katie Hale to stand up here. Katie Hale got her teaching start at Penn Forest and teaches music for us now. So we'll invite Katie.
Good evening. Thank you for providing the opportunity for us to showcase our school to all of those in attendance and those that are watching at home tonight. My name is Katie Hale, and I am the music teacher at Penn Forest. I began my teaching career here in 2018, truthfully unsure of whether teaching elementary was going to be the right fit for me. Most of my previous experience came from working with high school students, so that's where I thought I would be the most comfortable. However, the students and staff of Penn Forest drew me in from the start and have provided me with such a loving and supportive place to work that it's hard to believe that I once imagined myself anywhere else. I'm now at the start of my 5th year here, and I can confidently say that our school is not just a school, it's a home. Our motto, where everybody is somebody, is deeply embedded into our core values. Our community of care, made up of staff, parents, and students, embraces differences and strives to ensure that every student succeeds and will look back on their time at our school with fond memories. Our parents and community members are our most important supporters, deeply invested in doing what they can to support the education of our future. The staff members and administration have an immense dedication to their craft, passionately embedding deeper learning lessons into the curriculum and growing the minds of each individual learner. We also uplift one another when challenges arise. There is an encouragement to try new things, to grow, and as an educator and as a leader, and to learn from and lean on one another's strengths. I'm grateful to be surrounded by such caring peers on a daily basis, and this reflects our commitment to working as a team to achieve our goals. Finally, there are our students, our why and the best part of our days. Having nearly 450 students at our school means we have nearly 450 unique and special personalities. We have students who love to fly airplanes. That's a true story. One of them told me. Students who take music lessons, students who dance or do gymnastics, students who score winning goals in soccer games, students who create videos for their YouTube channels. That was also shared with me. And students who are still discovering their niche. While we all have different passions, there's one thing we have in common. We love getting to come to Penn Forest each day and being an owl. If you have the chance to visit Penn Forest and take a peek into our daily life, I know you will find ample evidence of our immense school spirit. Lincoln is a great example. The excitement and positivity that has been ever growing within our building as we've implemented PBIS is another example of this. We are just a few weeks into school, and our tree of owls, which you saw a picture of earlier, awarded to students for soaring, is already completely overflowing, and we have to take it down and start again. We've also already had our first super soarer. That's that student that has earned recognition in all 4 areas. Last year, this did not happen until March, and this year it took an outstanding kindergartner just 20 days to earn this coveted title. I don't think just any school could have easily converted me from a high school teacher to an elementary school teacher, but Penn Forest is a special place, and I'm lucky to call it my home. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
I have 2 more speakers for you guys. I want to invite the Gruce family, so I thought you would want to hear from a perspective of a parent and a student. Invite them to the table.
Where's the dad?
He's hiding.
He
back-
always wants to be in the back.
hiding back there. He's
He
shy.
talks enough.
Even a championship picture he wants to be.
You go.
We love you, Coach.
My name is Tinley Gruce. I am a 5th grader at Penn Forest Elementary. 3 words that come to mind when I think of Penn Forest are loving, learning, and laughing. I have been there since I was 3 in the preschool program, and they have made me who I am today. Penn Forest has taught me to soar. S for safety, O for offering kindness, A for acting responsibly, and R for demonstrating respect. Thank you to all the teachers and staff for everything you have done for me. A special thank you to Ms. Griffin.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. As a school testing coordinator in Roanoke County, many would think that I would come tonight to talk about data, but tonight I'm going to talk about being a parent of a Penn Forest student. When we moved here in 2014, I said to Jacob when he looked at taking the job, we've got to get settled. It's time. Our kids were 4 and 2 when we moved here, and we needed a place that we could call home where they could be in school and we could get him from stopping to chase his coaching dream. So we finally got him situated and settled, but Penn Forest Elementary is a great place. I have a friend that was an IA in another elementary school in Roanoke County, and she said we often referred to Penn Forest as the university. Its academics speak for itself, their high expectations. The teachers, the principals, we were lucky enough to be under Miss Brammer when Taylor started, and then we were very fortunate to be under Miss Karen Pendleton. And then we have been blessed the past 2 years with Miss Griffin. She has come in and she has made that place even better than it was. It is such a great place. The teachers are so loving and caring. You never have to worry about your kids when they go there. It is just a special, special place, and we're very thankful for Penn Forest.
So we just want to thank you guys all for your support. Thank you for taking the time to listen to us, to let you share about our special, special place in the world. So we'll let Hootie leave.
Mr. Ray may have some
Don't leave,
comments.
Hootie. Wait a minute.
I think you might need to stay.
Yeah.
Just a second.
Yeah, we talked about Hootie, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, this last night. But anyway, I really admire, I've been over a lot with Miss Griffin, and the energy, the enthusiasm that you have. And I don't know if you ever go home. Go
My
by-
daughter's here. She can attest for
I
that.
think your car's there all the time. So anyway, but the dedication really shows. And I mean, the parents, the students, and they're all excited. And it's, you picked up exactly where, Miss Pendleton left off. And, we went through the 50th anniversary, which is a joyous time, and then the tragedy of Miss Pendleton. But, you picked right up and just kept it rolling. So, you know, and I attribute that. And I know I'm over there a lot. I probably bug you too much.
Not at all. We love
But,
having you.
But anyway, I love going over there and going around because your teachers are so excited about the process and what you're doing there and what is really the benefit for these students. So just want to thank you for everything that you do. All the parents, all the students, Lincoln, everyone that's involved, and of course, Hootie. So thank you so much, so.
Absolutely,
We really
thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Mr. Hudson?
So we had the opportunity to have Jenny in our schools over at Glenver for a little while. And we're sad that she left us, but we're very happy for what you're doing out at Penn Forest. And I was able to attend the 50-year bash, and I was just really impressed with everything you had going that day. It's just amazing what you're doing out there. You can see it in the kids. You can see it in the parents in your community. Thank you for what you do. You're just really doing a great job. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, so to echo the sentiments, I love what you say. I don't know how many times you said community. And we kind of think of that in the Benton area as well. And I love everything you presented here tonight was community, about fundraisers and so forth. And so you can tell we're lucky to have these elementary schools in these communities. And whenever I hear somebody talk about closing one or trying to consolidate, it kind of breaks my heart because I think you break that community spirit and that bond that we have with the teachers, with the students. So it was a wonderful presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Shawnee?
Yeah, from the first slide that I saw, where everybody is somebody, it warmed my heart. And your entire presentation sold that theme, which is what you do every single day. I want to go back to kindergarten. I want a mascot. I'm really proud of, I'm really proud of Lincoln. You did a great job, buddy. I can't see you, but that's. You might get another story after all that. But your why, it's obvious. And when anybody can stop and say to themselves, what is my why? And answer it and know it, you've hit a home run. So it's obvious to me you're hitting home runs every single day. So thank you for all you do.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, you go ahead. I'd like
Okay.
to get a picture since we got Hootie here.
Oh, yeah. we're gonna
Perfect,
get-
perfect, yeah.
I'm just wondering, where's the blowfish?
So it's funny, that's on Facebook, a little joke about we're getting ready to do our fun run, and our PTA president did do a picture with Hootie today, holding a picture of a blowfish and said, "Get it." I'm not sure everybody will, but
You have to be born in the 70s or 80s to know that.
Yeah, you got to be a little older.
Was that
We
the
need-
taller Hootie or the shorter Hootie? I don't know.
yeah, it all depends. All depends. Not quite sure. So.
Thank you.
Fantastic presentation, and we need more moments like this at our school board meetings because it's just so heartwarming to see the enthusiasm that you have as well as the community over there. And I too had a chance to attend the 50th anniversary celebration, and what a great event. The turnout, I mean, people didn't really seem to mind that it was going to rain.
They
They
didn't.
came and a large turnout. So you mentioned some fundraiser ideas. I'm going to volunteer Coach Gruce to referee a one-on-one basketball game because Mr. Hudson over
Oh,
here
goodness,
truly
here it
thinks,
comes.
he truly thinks he can beat you in basketball one-on-one for some reason.
We all have dreams.
You're talking to a college basketball player right there. Now, wait a minute.
Wait, I'm a guy.
My money is on Miss Griffin.
I can't even hit a free throw. Let's just.
And I did want to point out, I said the Gruce family, but I wanted to make sure Tinley had her, Tinley Gruce back there, as it was making sure I mentioned her name. So she did a great job. So,
All right.
okay,
we
thank
get-
you guys.
get a picture?
Oh, well, of course.
Any students, parents, if you want to come.
Lincoln, come on up. She's a future.
Get over here, because that's the wide shot. Here we go. All right. All right. You're Penn Forest and you're a teacher. Get on in. has to have a security guard.
All right.
All right. Item number 6, hearing of citizens and delegations. During this portion of the meeting, citizens, including students, parents, employees, and Roanoke County citizens, are invited to address the board on matters of public concern in exercise of their First Amendment rights. We do ask speakers to be respectful and civil in their comments and address the board chair rather than individual board members. Speakers have 3 minutes to make their comments and will be signaled by the lights on the podium. Please be aware that board members listen to comments but do not respond. We've got a few speakers tonight, our first of which, Michelle Brooks. Welcome.
Penn Forest continues.
All right.
There you go.
All right. I came here today because I just want you guys to know how great and supportive Central Office was when we heard about the passing of Karen Pendleton. I've been teaching for 19 years, and this is my 7th district, and I've never seen anything like what Central Office did before. Central Office treated all of us with empathy, compassion, and most importantly, as Gary Brooks stressed on August 4th, dignity. Counselors immediately came to check on me. Central Office staff covered my class while I was processing the news. Even the next day, another counselor stopped by to see how I was coping. Too many times I have seen deaths in other school systems, and staff are expected to be robots and continue the day as if nothing has occurred, so not to upset or disturb the school day. Having Dr. Nicely cover lunch for an hour sent a powerful message. It showed that Roanoke County Schools set a gold star precedent that shows that they care about their employees. I know when I come here I discuss salary a lot, but there are other ways besides salary to help retain teachers that may not cost anything, but will also show the compassion, empathy, and dignity that was shown to the PFES staff last week. These ideas demonstrate dignity and respect for all staff members. First, another local district pays for licensure renewal of educators. It's just a small way to show appreciation. And a lot of teachers like that. If currently Roanoke County doesn't do that, but something to think about for the future. And that same district allows for up to 5 personal days for each staff member. Staff members start off with 2 personal days, and instead of being rolled over to sick days like they are the next year, they just accumulate to a maximum of 5 days. And this is great for staff members who have adult children who may have life events such as grandchildren being born or their adult children getting married who surprisingly do not check their parents' school calendar to see if dates would work. Okay? And finally, I think what would give respect and dignity to everyone is giving all staff members a seat at the table. Teachers and IAs are the ones that work with the kids, know their names, carry them in our hearts. The nutritional staff makes sure that they are fed a nutritious meal daily. Bookkeepers and attendance clerks that keep the office running smoothly. Maintenance staff that helps keep the buildings operational. Bus drivers, ITRTs, I know I'm forgetting people. By allowing staff members to have a say in what we need in our workplaces and work conditions will treat us with dignity and respect. The old adage is true. If you take care of your employees, they take care of you. If you take care of us, we will stay with the district and we will be better able to serve our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brooks. Our next speaker, Lacey Richardson. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Lacey Richardson, and I am a senior at Cave Spring High School. and an alumni of Penn Forest. Today, I would like to bring to the floor the county-wide core policy, but truly the lack thereof. As it stands, it is up to the principal of each high school to dictate which accomplishments may be recognized with cords and which ones are compensated with pins. The Cave Springs student body would like to opt for a county-wide cord policy which would limit the use of pins due to their lack of substantial recognition and visibility. Without significant recognition, the drive to excel is diminished exponentially. Our athletic programs receive state walks and state rings, so why are our academic achievements considered less than? A pin does not simply suffice in comparison to a cord. The teachers and staff should be compelled to showcase their students' academic excellence rather than hide it in the name of equity. The real world does not reward uniformity, rather it highlights individuality and hard work. We respect and appreciate our administration and all that they do for our school, but we are the voices of our student body and must fight for change when change is not only wanted but needed. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our next speaker, Sam Robertson. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Sam Robertson. I'm also a senior at Cave Spring High School. I'd like to continue the talk on cords at graduation. I won't take up too much of the time. I don't have much to say. I just would like to point out some arguments for the opposing side against cords and refute them. So the first argument, students will abuse the cord system by joining a bunch of clubs and receiving cords for not doing the work, but still earning the reward. I personally feel that this is not the case and that the majority of students will actually put in the work and earn the cords that they do receive at graduation. And a small minority will be the ones that do in fact abuse the systems. There will surely be some, but is stopping those few students worth putting down all the rest that did actually earn their cords? And the second argument is having the ability to wear the cords discriminates against those that are unable or did not receive any cords. And I have two older brothers that recently graduated college. Both of their graduations did let their students have cords, and I can tell with the utmost certainty that no one was looked down upon just because they didn't have cords. All of them were being appraised for graduating. And it's the same case for high school. I can assure you no random parent is going to judge a child just because they didn't have a cord for the National English Honor Society. Instead, family and friends come to graduation to praise everyone who was able to graduate. Cords are just there to show accomplishments for each of the students and not demean those that didn't get one. I thank you for your time, and I urge you to consider your stance to let every student in the county have cords at graduation. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. And our final speaker, Kara Hopkins. Good evening.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kara Hopkins, and I am also a Cave Spring High School senior. I'd like to start out by thanking all of you for your time and consideration of our proposition. Allowing students to speak out about their needs is one of the most important things a school board member can do, as it is your civic duty. We appreciate your open-mindedness. We feel very strongly that the option to have cords at graduation should not be up to individual principals, but the county. The current policy has proven to be an inaccurate representation of the needs of the students. Even though my fellow students want to have cords at graduation, our principals in recent years have decided against it, instead using only small pins to showcase large accomplishments. We are the only school in the county that does not use cords to accentuate the accomplishments of the students and the hard work they have put in the last 4 years of their lives. Graduating high school is a large enough accomplishment. It should not matter if some people may be upset by not having cords. That saying, I would like to point out that the fact that students might be upset is simply a possibility and not a certainty. The issue of integrity when joining these associations is an unfair argument used to simply excuse the topic at hand. It ignores the needs of the students in order to place a false argument on the matter. Creating a club worthy of a cord is not something that will be easy to cheat with. And even if it happens, my student body will work with you to ensure that it is fixed. We will also work to create a list of concrete rules that state requirements for a club or society to earn a cord in graduation. To dispel cords based off of an unlikely scenario that can easily be fixed with policy creates an easy way out of an argument and diminishes the voice of my fellow students. The equity and integrity issues of this problem are far less than the benefits. This is why we strongly urge you to adapt to the policy to allow cords in all schools across the county in order to serve the students who work hard across all schools. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. On to item number 7, the consent agenda.
Chairman, I move consent agenda.
I'll second that. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 8, action items. 8.01, Green Valley Elementary School gym floor. Mr. Todd Kegels. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. At last week's work session, we provided information about the condition of the original parquet gym floor at Green Valley Elementary School. After assessing the condition of the floor, we presented 2 options. Number 1 was to continue to repair and replace the individual parquet floor pieces at a current cost of about $14,000, or replace the existing floor at a cost of approximately $75,000 pending board action. Funds for repairing or replacing the gym floor at Green Valley Elementary would be appropriated from minor capital reserves. Staff brings these options forward for action this evening.
Mr. Ray?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I think when we discussed this at the work session, we also saw a need plus a safety need as well. And I think you marked off areas that they couldn't actually go to and put an X here. And we know that the floor is buckling. It's the old parquet type flooring, which has a tendency to come up anyway. And we've had issues there before over the years. And I think that, that we, instead of trying to do a patchwork job, we just go ahead and and repair the whole floor and replace the whole floor. So that's
It's your story and you're sticking to it.
sticking to it.
Before we get into further discussion, I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve $75,000 from minor capital for the replacement of the Green Valley Elementary School gym floor.
Second.
Any discussion? Any other discussion? A motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Item number 8.02, stadium lighting. Mr. Kegels again.
At last week's work session, we provided information related to the major renovation project underway at William Byrd High School. One topic that was mentioned was regarding the replacement of the gym floor. A question about the funding source for the gym floor replacement had been raised Thursday morning, and then again at the work session. Thursday evening, we reported that we had not identified the funding source at that time. After further research, we confirmed that the replacement of the gym floor at William Byrd High School was in fact included in the construction budget from major capital funds. To clarify, the gym floor is not part of the contract with Avis or the scope of their work, but it was included in the overall project budget, and the work is to be managed by Facilities and Operations. That work will be scheduled to be completed in accordance with the Avis construction schedule, taking into consideration school scheduling, and doesn't require any further action from the board. The second topic discussed at the work session was regarding the replacement of the stadium lighting at William Byrd High School. We presented 3 options for board consideration, including relamping the current system, retrofitting the current light poles with new LED fixtures at a cost of about $208,000, including repainting the current light poles, or replacing the current system with a new LED lighting system, including new poles at a cost of approximately $265,000. Pending action by the school board, funds for upgrading the stadium lighting would be appropriated from the William Byrd High School Construction Contingency Fund. Staff brings these options forward for action this evening.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with the $265,000 option on the lighting with coming out of the contingency fund, just as you recommended.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I think that after looking at the lighting test that was recommended by the chairman, we do realize we've got a problem in other areas too, so we may need to look at something with CMP and adding this in the next few years to try to address all of the concerns across the county.
Mr. Ray, anything? No? No. I will be one of the first to agree that the lighting over at William Byrd is not very good. I don't know that I can support this coming out with 10 months still left in the project over at William Byrd to reduce the contingency fund for some other potential unknowns. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me this early in the game. If it were March and we were 3 months away from being completed over at William Byrd, I could see that, but to reduce those contingency funds down, what would it be if we do approve this? Down around 200,000?
$283,000 if you include $265 for the stadium lights, $152 for the cafeteria modifications, and $100,000 roughly for the furniture over budget would bring you to $283.
Like I said, I understand that they do need it, and as Mr. Hudson said, there are a couple others. It was good to get the information that showed the 13.6 foot candles or whatever it was, and that's always helpful to be able to determine that, yeah, the lights are not adequate right now. I don't agree that this is the place we should be pulling those funds from, but we do have a motion and a second. Any other comments? Ms. Fashani.
I understand the concern. I understand your concern, Tim. I agree with Brent. We are going to need to look at all the lights. I'm just going to pray that we don't have any other issues coming down the line in the next 10 months. Hope we're good.
Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Item number 8.03, Fort Lewis Modular Classrooms.
Mr. Chairman, I did have one question to go back, if I can.
Yes, sir.
Not on the lighting, but we do have these reports in front of us. I don't know if Susan's on here. I think we passed.
She's back there.
My question is, where did that money come out of? We still haven't heard that.
For the gym floor?
Yes, is that in the minor capital?
Yeah, there's in the construction budget, and actually it's just like the furniture. So like the furniture wasn't included in Avis's contract, so there's a separate budget line item for furniture. It's the same way for the gym floor. It's actually, Susan may be able to tell us the actual title on the line. I think it's under building materials. Mr. Lowe was able to get with Susan and explain where that money was supposed to come from.
The money was in the original presentation when Mr. Lowe presented it to you. It was part of the soft costs, and it's just in a different line. Unfortunately, when we book it into our accounting system, we booked it into an account called building materials because the project is William Byrd High, and we didn't set up a separate project, right? And so that's where we got confused when we were looking for the project. We were looking for a separate project, but this was just a line item that was a part of the big construction project.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Just, Susan, I guess, sorry you're walking away. I'm sorry. The soft cost, what do you normally look at when you're looking at soft costs? I know what you normally look at, but, was this something that was not, that we overlooked or what?
No, it was in the original presentation. Like it was part of the 3.1 million, I think, that was outside of the Avis contract that was part of the big construction project.
Yeah, I just didn't understand why it wasn't taken care of, but that was, But anyway, the soft cost,
Like
I thought, yeah, separately.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we didn't set up didn't pull that because it's in major capital. I don't know
Right.
why we didn't set up a different project and it was just part of the construction project. I can't answer that. That's how it was presented to me to build out.
But you got the money.
We have the money.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, in regards to the Fort Lewis mobile classroom, at last week's work session, we provided information about the request for a mobile classroom at Fort Lewis Elementary School. Currently, there's no designated classroom for the music instruction there, and no additional spaces available within the school. Staff presented information regarding availability of a pre-owned mobile classroom for purchase at a cost of about $109,000. Purchase of this mobile classroom would be contingent on the owner providing the necessary documentation required by the Roanoke County Building Inspector. And staff recommends appropriation of $109,000 from minor capital reserves for the purchase and installation of this mobile classroom, contingent on successful completion of the sale and approval from the building inspector.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion for that.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a comment. I know that we have these facilities and modular classrooms, which we need. And it's certainly, I've been to Fort Lewis several times over my tenure here, and it's a unique school. It's if you haven't been there, you really go and you go back in time. It's just like, the wooden floors and squeaky floors and things that is so unique. And we know that there's a need for additional classroom space. There's things besides music that happen in these classrooms, and they're able to utilize these things for multiple uses. And I think that's very important. But we have to realize for some of these schools that we have these units that can take care of, because certainly it's a heck of a lot cheaper than setting up a building and program and building onto a facility or a school. So I think this is certainly a needed project. So,
yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions, comments? Motion and a second. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Mr. Greenway,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ray,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Kegels. All right. Item number 9, information agenda, 9.01, annual presentation by the Special Education Advisory Committee. Dr. Beth Harmon.
Actually, I'm going to introduce you to Robin Simpson, who is our current chairperson. She's going to give you a brief report, and then I'll do the next item.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Nicely. I am Robin Simpson, current chairperson for the Special Education Advisory Committee. I come before you this evening to provide a brief review of our annual report for the previous school year, which you have already been provided. The annual report includes a reminder of the role of the Special Education Advisory Committee, our members from the previous school year, and a brief summary of our meetings. I would also like to take a moment to note 2 areas in the report which include the commendations and recommendations. Specifically, we wish to express our continued appreciation to the school board and the Roanoke County Public School Special Education Department for navigating another difficult school year, which continued to include COVID-19 challenges. During last year's annual report presentation, our chairperson, Mr. Garrison, expressed a need for a differentiated pay scale for special educations to help ensure that Roanoke County Public Schools can both recruit and retain quality teachers. We want to commend you on prioritizing this as a stipend for teachers in the adopted budget. We hope that in the future this could be included on their pay scale to provide further benefits to teachers through their VRS plans. Again, thank you for your continued support of our students and the staff that work with them. We are looking forward to another great year and invite you to attend any of our meetings. Thank you. Are there any questions?
I'd like to just say something.
Sure.
I just want to thank you for everything that you're doing for us. As a parent of a special needs child, I really appreciate your time and effort in making sure that all of our kids are getting an equitable education, meeting their needs. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you. She had the hard part. I've got the easy part. So good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Dr. Nicely. As an information item, you've been provided with a slate of executive board members for the Special Education Advisory Committee for the upcoming 2 school years. These individuals have volunteered to serve on our executive board pending your approval at our next school board meeting. Have any questions about that? Pretty easy.
Questions?
Okay.
No, ma'am.
Thanks.
All right. So was that was 9.02 also? All right.
She's efficient.
9.03, new position coordinator of school business relations, Mr. Jason Sir.
Thank
Welcome.
you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Members of the board, Dr. Nicely. As you know, the Citizens Advisory Committee has been doing a lot of work, and as Roanoke County Public Schools proceeds with plans to build a new specialty center, a position has been identified and recommended by the Citizens Advisory Committee. CTE staff currently respond to as many business inquiries as possible, and the new position will enable Roanoke County Public Schools to proactively develop more relationships with business and industry in the region. The school business relationships that result will help Roanoke County Public Schools hone programs and adult education opportunities at the new center and countywide to more effectively meet workforce needs in the Roanoke region. Ultimately, this will benefit Roanoke County Public Schools students in their quest to become opportunity ready by providing several things: interaction with business and industry, inclusion of more work-based learning opportunities, and exposure to in-demand careers in our own backyard. Thank you for considering this position. This is an information item, and at this time I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Mr. Hudson.
I have a couple questions. I was thinking about this earlier. Do you think this is a need for a full-time position, a part-time? I mean, how many hours do you think this position would require?
That's a good question, and right now we're reactive to what's going on in the business community. We're spending a lot of time responding to businesses reaching out to us. As you know, the business community is in general in need of people to fill positions in the workforce, and I think this position could keep a person very busy.
Well, and another question. So I was thinking too, a lot of our instructors I know are, have good working relationships in the industry. So would it be beneficial for some of our instructors to take some of this task? I know they couldn't do it. Obviously, we'd have to extend their contract, some days or something like that. But do you feel like that some of our instructors would be good at doing this if they have these relations in the industry?
I think I'm sorry.
Well, I wonder because I know not one person can't be specialized in everything that you do.
Right.
So a person that may be in culinary is not going to know about, an engine building, for example, or cosmetology or something like that. So I guess my question is, could we benefit from some of our instructors doing some of this?
Well, I think our instructors already do. I mean, a lot of our instructors, especially at Burton Center, have advisory committees that they correspond with. They have meetings with throughout the school year, and are able to reach out to businesses that way. I think having somebody be able to coordinate some of this effort and to not just sometimes maybe we kind of get set in our ways and are satisfied with just that smaller pool of businesses that we interact with. As we know, we interact with a good number of manufacturing companies in the valley. There are a lot more that we could interact with and reach out to, ones that might not have even considered the opportunities that could be afforded our students and how we could help and partner with the companies. So I see where you're coming. I do think our teachers do a great job of reaching out to the business community, but there's more to be done. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Fashani, yes, ma'am.
I know you have the answer to this. So are you aware of other CTE centers that have created this type of position? Did they find it beneficial? Have you reached out to them?
Yes, Massanutten Tech Center, we visited there, and we know that they have somebody that has this kind of, I think there's a little bit with it being already an established entity in that community, have that relationship, are able to use that position to bring in, I think they use it kind of to bring in sponsorship type opportunities for the school, as well as build out these opportunities for the students to take part in. And anything from field trips, those are pretty small things to set up, to work-based learning opportunities, which are a much bigger commitment for a company to take on. Take a lot more explaining and a lot more interaction.
Mr. Greenway?
Yes, so Mr. Sir, if what I've heard about this position would come to fruition, it should pay for itself, because as I understand it, it would also incorporate some fundraising mechanisms coming back into the school, which I like. So for me, it's kind of education meets business, right? And I love the idea. For instance, there was an engineer firm that reached out to me and asked me about the CT, and I can only take them, I can bring them to the party, but I don't know where I'm going once I get to the party, right?
Right.
So I had a friend of mine at Carillion, which we've talked with before, it's a CFO, that reached out to me today and said, hey, I'd love to go talk to you about this CTE. Again, I want him, I'll bring him to the party, but somebody's got to facilitate where he goes to the party, right?
Right.
And so we want those people. Those are businesses that we're looking for. And if we can have this facilitator to go out here and reach these businesses, and maybe even what we're thinking needs to be retooled. I know y'all are doing all this, but I'm talking about, maybe there's ideas they have, or maybe there's sites they have that they'd like to bring students in to give us further avenues, to bring our CTE program together and make it more beneficial for everything we do with this is for Roanoke County. And to me, it's what we ought to ask our next economic development person at Roanoke County to do is, you don't have a desk in Roanoke County. You go out and find these businesses. You go find them and bring them back to Roanoke County. So I like the idea. I think it's one of those spots, as I just said, where education meets business. And if it's projected correctly, I think we can just absolutely hit a home run with this position. Again, hopefully they pay for themselves. And paying for themselves is not necessarily always, bringing revenue,
Right.
back, but it brings revenue to the county, which the county then, realizes that. So I like the idea. It's to me, it's another facet of CTE that I don't know that a lot of people are invested in yet.
Well, and I might add that, and I mentioned it in my comment, that, we were focused on this new build of the new center and how important it is to have, make that an important and integral part of the community and helping the business community understand how they can partner, how we can partner with them. It also, this position could help in all the schools, all the secondary schools, building out opportunities, not just at the center, albeit that's going to be a focus here for the short term, but also opportunities countywide.
Thank you.
Mr. Hudson again.
One more question, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, and
That's
I'm
all right.
not one way or the other. I'm just trying
Sure,
to really
sure.
understand everything. Can you tell me a little bit about your role currently and what you're doing with the CTE?
Sure, yeah, and part of it is interacting with the business community. Right now, I feel like I'm having, with all my responsibilities, having to react. When they reach out, I'm able to set time aside, go visit with them. I just visited with 2 yesterday, one in the Hollins area and one in South County. Interested in partnering either with the new center or with an apprenticeship opportunity. Those are exciting opportunities. One of the most fun parts of my job is to try to build these things out. It's just my time is limited. And I feel like there are a lot of opportunities that we should be building out for our students, especially as they get on into high school and have time in their schedule to do an apprenticeship or an internship, things like that. We're kind of limited on what we can offer right now, and I'd like to see that built out.
So are you spending most of your time doing these types of things currently?
I wouldn't say most of my time, no. It's
What
just
other
part.
roles are you filling?
Administrative, I feel like it's pretty general. Working on state reporting, putting communication, a lot of communication between stakeholders. doing, and part of that is with the business community, but also within the school system. We've got a lot of programs across the 11 schools, secondary schools, and maintaining the order there amongst the marketing, business, tech ed, trade and industry at Burton Center. The health sciences, we're building out that program. A significant portion of my time this past year was spent working with Carillion to develop that RAD Tech program that kicked off this year in a pilot form. So there's just a myriad of things that have to go on to keep all the plates spinning.
Right. Do you feel like you have any staff that you can maneuver some of these responsibilities around to give you more time to be more, instead of being reactive, proactive?
That's a good question, and our staffing is pretty small. I have my counterpart, Mark Jones. We stay very busy, the two of us, as it is, and I try to be very mindful of the time that we spend. Sometimes we do things together, but a lot of times we're working on separate things. So there's not a lot of time to farm other things out.
Okay.
Hope that helps.
I know this is a position that the chair of the Citizens Committee is very much in favor of, and it does seem to make sense. As Mr. Greenway said, I think it's a great way to get the business community involved with our new CTE center. Timeframe-wise, what are we thinking as far as maybe trying to onboard this position or bring somebody on?
I think fairly soon is the thought, but I do think it's got to be the right person. It has to be somebody, in my mind, somebody who has connections in the community already, somebody who has a kind of a recognizable name and can already have some built-in business connections. I think would be very advantageous for this person instead of them having to build relationships before they, get into the meat of the issues. So I think that's important. Time frame, thinking fairly soon. And that would help us as we look towards this new build.
So again, are we looking for full-time, part-time? What are we?
Right now, we have it as a full-time. I think that's up for consideration.
And a pay grade
If
for
I
that?
can address that, and it really goes back to, I think, what Mr. Sir was just saying in terms of, this is all new territory for us. We're trying to, figure it out. But I think what Mr. Sir just said about finding the right person is probably the most important part. So I think in our mind, if we found the right person who would be interested in starting off at least doing this on a part-time basis, then that might be a good place to start. If we find the right person who could do it full-time, I think that's our starting point. But I think our thought is we should be flexible, because if we find the right person who could do it, for less than on a full-time basis, at least starting off, then that's something I think we ought to be open to.
And once we get this person aboard and we get Burton built and we get everything going, what's the sustainability? Are we still going to require this position once everything is up and running?
Well, and I've given that some thought. I feel like, it's going to take significant effort as this new center is built. We're going to have new programs is the plan to be able to bring partnerships on board. I think it's going to take that significant energy on the front end. Then it's going to be maintaining and having that point of contact. But I also think this position could then start focusing more on the work-based learning opportunities that, flex and flow. We've seen that with the apprenticeship program. We have a good cadre of companies that stick with us year to year, but there's always that income. There's incoming and outgoing flux that happens, and we're always looking for more opportunities. So I think we could look at it that way.
With the apprenticeship program, do we have anybody working that full-time, or is that currently part-time folks that are doing that?
It's part-time, yes.
One final point to that. That's a very good point ongoing. If we do this right, in my mind, again, it's amazing to me we've had to push this hard to get it to this point. I'm just being honest. To me, if this goes right, and these companies that we've got engaged already see the benefit of the interns and the workforce development that comes out right out of high school that they've been able to train for a couple years, at CTE and through their companies, I'm thinking people, and I hope this, maybe I'm wrong and I won't be on the board when this happens, but I'm hoping people are flooding us to then get into these various fields to develop kids that want to go into whatever avenues there are, that they want to, engineers, nurses, or the electricians, the plumbers, the masons, whatever those are. I'm hoping that those companies will flood us, and that brings an economic piece and component to this that we've not had in many, many years. So.
Can I just add something?
Mr. Ray has been waiting
Oh,
patiently.
that's all right.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, from the very beginning, when this project started, I think I asked you, there was somebody, I said, well, we need a point person. We need someone who's going to open doors. We need someone who can make connections. We need someone in the community who knows people, can bring them in. And it takes a lot of work. That's a lot of networking. That's a lot of phone calling. That's a lot of lunches. That's a lot of everything. And it takes someone who is absolutely positively the right person. So you fill the position when you find the right person. You fill the position when you've got someone that can do the work and can make it happen, because we need someone who's going to have the expertise, who's going to open the doors, because we want this to be the very best facility that we can. And honestly, I feel like if you don't have that person, this project could not lift. And we need it to lift. We need it to soar. So I know you're working hard on it, Jason. I really appreciate everything you're doing.
Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm listening, and I'm thinking, what if we had someone now, or if you get someone pretty soon, whether it be full-time, part-time, whatever there may be, are we able to handle some apprenticeships, more, we know we're limited on space. Are we able to bring those programs into the BCAT?
Well, with the apprenticeship, it's more of an outward thing,
Right.
and meeting industry need that way. And definitely, we have opportunities for
They
more
need
students to be
training.
involved. Right.
We give them the training, and they go out and do apprenticeships. And then learn the positions, the jobs. Correct.
So yes, in some cases, and in some cases, if we don't have the program, they're able to go out and get that related instruction from the company themselves.
So you feel like that if the person was in place, we would be able to expand already?
Well, I think making those industry connections definitely drives. We're seeing it here recently. The number of companies reaching out and wanting to explore possibilities is just growing. And having those opportunities, being able to grow that, would mean a lot for more students. I think we could get a lot more students into the apprenticeship program, into our internships, into co-ops with our marketing program. There's a variety, a wide variety, and I'm not even talking about job shadows and some of the smaller hour opportunities. We're talking about these are the big things that meet industry need now. So
I'm sorry, I have another thought. So today was Business Horizons down at Virginia Tech. All the students are in, and then tomorrow is actually the first annual Day for Data. It's a data conference. I have a son who's going to it. But it's amazing. There's over 200 businesses that are coming into the Blacksburg, Roanoke area just to seek out students for those jobs for market business analytics.
It's the future.
They're looking for students. They're looking for kids. They're looking for hardworking kids, and we have them. So we'll get there.
Mr. Hudson?
Well, to Mr. Ray's point, how many people do we have right now that are in this apprenticeship in terms of our staff, our part-time staff that are actually doing this?
One.
Do you feel like that we could probably use a couple more? Because if they're only working part-time and we've only got one, I can't see how we're able to really reach.
Well, like I said, with this position, I think that's going to be a help. I think we can keep the one part-time person very busy with not only apprenticeships, but I've talked with her about expanding our school-based enterprises in our high schools where we have school stores. Those count as work-based learning opportunities throughout the school year. So there are opportunities there, and I think as we continue to build those industry relationships, they'll continue to grow. To answer your question directly, as those work-based learning opportunities continue to expand, which I think is good for students, there might be a need. But as I said, this position that we're looking at right now, front end the load right now with that heavy push for building those relationships, and then maybe that person could do more of that type of thing to be of help.
Okay. So the duties of the apprenticeship now, it's going to be more than what she's currently doing.
It should be, yes. We continue to talk to companies to bring apprenticeships on board. Of course, they're not in big numbers usually. Usually a company coming to the table wants to figure out what apprenticeship's all about first, so they'll do one or two, and then they'll dip their toe in the water, and then you end up with a G.J. Hopkins who has, I think, 7 or 8 apprentices this year. Water Authority is a continual returnee for multiple apprentices. So I think that then they start seeing the benefit, and it grows from there.
Balzer has an apprenticeship.
Balzer does a great job. We have some, and they just keep coming back, and they do a super job with us. And the companies that are finding it successful have a point person at the company who will champion it for them, and they dig in and they do a great job mentoring those students. Yep.
Very good information. So would this be an action item on next month's agenda?
Appreciate you. I didn't
Sure.
mean to grill you.
That's
It's
all
just
right.
if we're going to
That's
fill
okay.
the
Yep.
position, I know there's other needs in
Understood.
some schools, and make sure we're being responsible with our positions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sir. Item number 10, report by the superintendent, Dr. Nicely.
Just a few items, Mr. Chairman, thank you. I was looking at my calendar and realized I'd actually had the chance to visit schools every day for the past 2 weeks, and so that's always a great thing. I say that to say kudos to our staff. Every time those kids get off the buses or they're opening doors for kids get out of their cars and so forth. I mean, it's just the welcome that they provide, and just seeing the faces of the little ones coming in, of course, and even the younger ones, or the older ones, excuse me, will actually say good morning back to you if you say that. So we have great kids, and we have great staff taking care of them, and just so appreciative. 2 highlights from that, just because I think it represents just all the different folks in our school system. One, I was over at Northside High School yesterday morning, actually, and as students were kind of coming and going, and so we have 5 students who are all high school students, but relatively new to our country, so they're still in that level 1 of English language services, and so it was just great to talk to them because could dust off my Spanish and hopefully go a long way just to make them feel welcome as they're trying to adapt to learning the English and and also our school systems. That was a great thing to see, and just a wide variety of people. So one of the teachers, Ms. Winter, Hidden Valley High School, invited me over the last couple of days to her AP government classes, and what I appreciate about that is, and we're still early in the year, but she already has those students engaged in different civic projects and so forth, and so they actually had to make a pitch to myself and Mr. Whitlow and some other folks there who were the sort of the ones hearing those and give them feedback. And I just I'm encouraged when I see students engaged in ideas to improve their school, improve their community. I was even actually very proud of these students who came and spoke this evening during the comments. I mean, if they wrote their own speeches, and I'm sure they did, but they were very articulate, and I really appreciate and very proud of students who were able to do that. So I did want to acknowledge the passing of our longtime principal, Ms. Pendleton, last week, and she touched so many people, and that was shown by the outpouring of support from her friends, from our Roanoke County staff currently in Penn Forest, but also just, and folks who have gone before and retired. So 2 former superintendents there, and just so many people came out because she really touched so many people, and she'll be missed. And I feel like it's important to acknowledge that. So 2 other things just to let you know. So tomorrow is our first meeting of the State Superintendent's Leadership Council. I actually get to participate on that this year, representing Region 6. So we get to meet with the State Superintendent Balo, and look forward to that. I know one of the hot topics is, across the state, what can we continue to do with employee shortages, teachers, bus drivers, all the folks who it takes to make our school system run. So look forward to that. And just one final thing, reminder to our parents. I know Mr. Lineberger, sent out the reminder this afternoon about our participating in the survey about the proposed conference day. So I just want to encourage everybody to do that. And we're going to cut that off next week, and then we'll bring that back to you for consideration at the next meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Nicely. Item number 11, reports and inquiries of board members. We'll start down here on the right tonight, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last night we had the SAC Student Advisory Council reception. It was well attended by the parents and the students that represent the committee or the council, and they were very, it's amazing how involved that these students are, and they're involved in what is going on in their schools and trying to make a difference and working together as we do as board members, and they're working together with the various districts. And they're going to have their retreat at Explorer Park tomorrow, which it's been moved around at different places over the years. And so as they went around, they said, "What do you like most?" And some of them said, "Retreat." So, they look forward to this. And they have a lot of challenging games that go on, challenging situations that go on that requires them to have not only leadership, but to be able to work together as teamwork. So it's a very good thing. It's a very great program. And as Dr. Nicely said, we have some very articulate speaking students in our schools, and it's really encouraging to see that. And then, when I was able to speak and talked about our dress code that they had input on, and they were talking about that, even the students talked about having any type of input, just like tonight we're hearing about the cords. Dr. Stegall, I had a question about I had a concern, let's put that one concern, that the Raptor wasn't loud enough when it came across. Are you aware of that?
We are. So what we're currently doing is the last time we did the countywide drill, it was an overload on our system, so the system didn't work correctly. So we're asking all of our schools to go back in individually and do that drill again. So we've also asked them to give us some feedback points. So we want every teacher to go in and check certain things in the app to make sure they can do it correctly, and then to report back to our IT staff anything that's not working. And then we're troubleshooting on our end. The low volume, our understanding is that's a cell phone, an individual cell phone carrier situation. And there are some settings you can go in to adjust that we can walk people through that. Our IT staff knows how to do that. So those individuals just need to talk to our IT staff because it's a cell phone carrier or cell phone model problem.
And I know we saw several of the bugs and things that you were working out, and certainly your timeline on that is pretty quickly, I guess, as we have this system in place, because I've heard good things about it, and I certainly think that it'll help us greatly.
Yeah, they're going to test. All of our schools are testing over the next 2 weeks, and we're going to open up the app for live activity in the next 2 weeks. So we'll send that out an announcement to everybody to let them know that it's in action, and what that means is anytime it goes off, police will be responding. So we wanted teachers to feel more comfortable using it and to practice it again, because our first experience was not very good because we could not have connectivity with our network. So it was not the Raptor app, it was our system that was not allowing the app to connect. So we wanted everybody to go back in and practice it one more time to give them a comfort level. And then we're going to work through, there's lots of stages to build this out. So it's going to be a full year of educating and adding the next layer, the next layer, the next layer. So we're trying to do it very slowly and introduce steps to this process. But the first thing we want to do is get all staff members' cell phones working correctly, to where the most important thing of this whole app is that they get that alert. So that's what we're checking. That's number one. Let's make sure everybody gets the alert, and then we'll move forward on cleaning up all the other stuff, because that's our primary concern, is locking down the building.
Okay. All right, thank you for that update. We had a retired bus driver that passed away recently, and the reason I know his family and his brothers and sisters, and he drove a bus for a good while for Roanoke County. So I went to the funeral home to visit, and I was very surprised to see Jerry Hubbard there. And I thought that was so touching that that they would take their time to come. He was retired, he wasn't active, and had been retired for several years, but that they would come, and I thought that was very good. So if you'll pass that along, Dr. Nicely, I really do think that's very important. That it's very touching that he was there and honoring, a former bus driver. Mr. Kegels, I keep asking the steps. I know it rained. Are they still on target for this week?
It's all weather dependent. The contractor's done at our other schools, and that's his next job. Mr. Kaufman was getting materials out there today, so should be starting any day.
Okay. And do we have an update on all the schools with the fencing?
We're dependent on the fencing contractors, and it's difficult to get them to even call us back now. I think all of the contracts have been awarded. The contractors have been chosen, with the exception of the last two that we did, Mount Pleasant and Cave Spring. That one's in the bid process, but now we're at their mercy in terms of ordering materials and then their availability to do the installs. Fencing's been an interesting challenge in terms of getting people to do it.
Okay, thank you. The only other thing, I did appreciate, and when I was over by the school after Miss Pendleton, we got the word that she had passed, and she actually taught my kids when they were at Clearbrook. And it was really, she was such a fine, not only administrator, but a great person. And it was really to see what they did at Penn Forest, and Dr. Nicely and your staff that went over. I know Jason Sir your staff was over there too, helping out. And they appreciate, I walked around to the teachers, and they were appreciated so much that y'all showed up helping out, showing the care. And every room that I went into, they were just so appreciative that y'all were coming to help out. And it was like, family getting together. And that's what Miss Pendleton was family. And certainly she'll be missed, but she left quite a legacy there at both schools that she was at, with Clearbrook and Penn Forest. So many happy memories, and, we pray for the family. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ray. Ms. Fashani.
Yeah, I just want to thank Penn Forest for coming out tonight. I thought they did an excellent job. It was a fabulous presentation. I loved the mascot. I'm sure there's going to be lots of requests for more mascots in our schools now. I appreciate all they do from the top to the bottom of everybody who's out there working for these kids, from the with the kids, from the the bus drivers to the administration to people working in the cafeteria, and then of course our wonderful teachers. It just seems like it's an incredible community of people all coming together to do the right thing, and it's really special to see. I want to thank our students who spoke. I thought they did a great job. I think they do actually make a pretty solid point. We should have some type of continuity of recognition of our students. I don't know if I were them. I don't know if I'd really want a pin either. You can't really see a pin from the stage. So I get what they're saying, and I appreciate that they came out, and this is a great forum for them to do it, and I think they did a really good job. Rhonda, I know that you were maybe reaching out to some of the athletic directors today. Do you have a report on that? Did you do anything? So I'll just give a little backstory. just because I have kids that play sports. If you see, like, we're really not back to where we were pre-pandemic. Kids are coming out, they're kind of doing this quick, maybe introductory slap on the hand as hi, but then when the game's over, they do this Queen Elizabeth goodbye, and they leave. And I think it's not a very good way that we're teaching our kids to be sportsmanlike. I think it's really important that we shake hands. We have winners, we have losers, but we all respect each other at the very end, and that's important for our kids to know, and we've become complacent. So I'd ask Ken if he would kind of look into this. VSHL, from my understanding, does not have a reason or a rule or a policy that we should not be shaking hands following any competition. And then I did hear that it's not a referee thing either. So hopefully it's going to come from the top, and we're going to encourage kids to come back together when the game is over to shake hands respectfully, and our coaches too. So is that where we're at right now?
We are. There currently no athletic protocols from Roanoke County Public Schools, and there's also no protocols related to COVID from VHSL. So we're back to normal play. So the difference is at our school division, I sent out a notice to all of our ADs and our principals that we have returned to normal play, and that is with the understanding that we go back to shaking hands and greeting each other as we leave the fields. And most of the ADs, I talked to 3 or 4 of them today, and they all felt as if that's what was happening. But of course, they're not at every single game, at every single event. So they were going to share that with their coaches to make sure everybody was on board. So that is the understanding. I think we can only control our own teams. So if we're at another school in another school division, and if they have a different protocol, we follow their protocol. But we can control what we do at our home games.
So in talking to some of my friends who serve on various boards, the Christian schools, the Catholic schools, the private schools in this valley are all shaking hands pre-game and post-game. And I think we need to follow that decorum as well. It just makes sense to me, especially since we're at where we're at. Okay. And I just want to express my condolences to the family. Ms. Pendleton's Mike, you and I talked on the phone. He shared some stories with me about this wonderful woman, and I had no idea that we had such a wonderful legacy here in Roanoke. It's these people that come to serve this community and work with our children that leave behind just wonderful memories. And I'm sure that the loss is going to be felt greatly, and I'm very sorry for their family. So again, I express my condolences, and my prayers are with you.
Thank you, Ms. Fashani. Mr. Greenway.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So condolences as well to Mrs. Pendleton's family. She was actually a Byrd grad, and I didn't know that, but she was. And so going into mine, Cheryl swore me to be short.
Ken started it.
And then Mike did a dissertation over there, so I'm going to take a few.
I'm not through.
So, and you don't like the Queen Elizabeth? No? Okay, I'm just checking. So, again, the student speakers, they were excellent. And I don't know all the issues and criteria, but, I kind of like what they were saying. And first off, it's amazing. I love every time a student comes and speaks to us, whether it was the kindergartner or the high school students. I just love that and thank them, and we take it seriously, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. Wanted to ask Susan if you can revisit this for us, the healthcare surplus fund. We haven't done that in a while, and I'm not sure Cheryl and Brent are aware of that, and maybe we could update. I think last time we needed to be at 4.5 times reserves, and so it'd just be nice to know where we're at now, how much that surplus is, and where we're at. So thank you.
Because we're self-insured.
Yes,
Let 'em know.
self-insured, and so we want to maintain that. But there's also quite a surplus we've carried in that fund, and we want to revisit that from time to time to be good stewards. And Mr. Sir, to your point on CTE, I love the idea. That position needs to be a salesperson, really. It's need to understand what we do, but they also need to be a salesperson. We want them to engage the business community to bring them in. And so I like the idea, and to Mr. Hudson's point, we do need to be mindful of those dollars, and I hope that I'm saying that correctly. I hope that position pays for itself. As we were told about it, there was also some fundraising components to it, so hopefully that's a part of it. Dr. Nicely, when you see the state superintendent, I hope you'll ask him if there's any new open concept elementary schools. Could you ask that for us?
She.
Her. So Helen Reddy said one.
Better get that pronoun right.
Mr. Wall, if you want to give me another shout out, I'll take it graciously. He's not here. So you remember Helen Reddy went up there and said she, I don't know how she said it, but she being God. So I apologize for the faux pas again. But if you'll ask her if there are any new open concept elementary schools in Virginia, I'd be interested to know that. And with that, I want to thank Cheryl. Cheryl got to walk with me this past week, and I appreciate you coming down. You don't hear this and you don't see this out in public, but we do care about each other and we do care about other districts. She came down, she walked Cundiff, and it was, I hope she got the experience of what I don't know if complaining is the right word, because I think our teachers are just absolutely, first off, teachers are phenomenal, but when you go into the open concept classroom and you see them, and it was a good time for us to walk through, you got class over here engaged and a class over here engaged, class over here, and they're talking and the kids are talking, and I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's amazing how they do it. And I appreciate you coming.
Oh, you're
I really
welcome.
do.
You were advocating, not complaining, advocating.
That's good, thank you. Thank you. But I appreciate it. And thank you. The school year is off to a great start. So many positive things going on. And it is wonderful when we hear something like Penn Forest or all of our schools that have came in and presented, and that community resonates with me. Having lived in the Benton community all my life, you could tell she was passionate. She said community, I know 6 or 8 times. And that's what doing away with a school could take away from that community. And I know we have to be mindful of tax dollars and everything, but that's phenomenal when you see that. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Greenwood. Mr. Hudson.
Well, going last, I always have to act like I'm repeating everybody else. So I'm going to touch on everything everybody has already said. So that, the kids, when they come out and speak, that speaks volumes to me. Most young people are not going to take their time out of their night to come out here and tell us what they feel. And academic achievement should be recognized. And I'm a firm believer in not punishing the masses to prevent the few from possibly abusing the situation. I definitely think that we need to further investigate this and consider meeting their request. We need to have some further discussion on that. So I greatly appreciate them coming out. And again, for Ms. Griffin coming out, Penn Forest, she's doing a great job out there. To see as many people came out to that 50-year bash, and it was just a great, well-coordinated event that she did out there, and very proud of what she's doing. I hate that we lost her on the Glenver side of town, but she's doing great things out there in South County. You guys need to stop drafting all of our people, Mike. There's a couple now, so
I'm paying them more.
we got an eye on you. I'm a huge supporter of Burton in both elementary schools, as Tim and everybody knows. We definitely need to get rid of these open concepts. We definitely need to figure out a way to get both Cundiff and Glen Cove built. And Mr. Sir, thank you for everything you do. I don't want you to take my harsh questioning, catching you on the spot there. I just want to have a greater understanding of how everything works. And I definitely think I know how our retirement process works when someone retires and then they can come back and work, and I know that's what Martha's doing. I think she's doing an excellent job at going out with the apprenticeship program. I actually went out to a business with her and watched her pitch it, and I was very impressed with how she did all of that, and she's doing a great job. So I feel like that maybe we need to look into getting a couple additional positions in that once we get up and rolling to make sure that we're meeting the needs in that area. I'd like to thank Dr. Harmon and Robin, I can't remember her last name, but for what you guys do for special ed, you do a great job. Again, being a parent of a special needs child, I'm just daily impressed with your staff and everything that you do. You guys pour your heart out into taking care of our kids, and it brings tears to my eyes sometimes. Infrastructure needs, it looks like we spend a lot of money up here, and it does kind of make me cringe a little bit when we're spending a lot of money. But, our kids deserve it. When you look at the lights out at Byrd, and I think it was at 24 is ideal or something like that. I guess it's not lumens, it's, what did you call it?
Foot candles.
Foot candles or something like that, and we get a report back that it's like basically half of what an ideal rate is. Well, our kids deserve better. We can't have our kids playing out there like that. I mean, we're not asking for NFL quality, but we don't want them playing in the dark either. So I greatly appreciate everyone's support and the need out there at Fort Lewis with that modular classroom. I spend a lot of time out there because my children's school, and I can see that need when I walk around and everything's kind of packed in. So I'm glad we got that done. And the gym floor out at Green Valley again. I mean, it's things like that we have to maintain. We got to make sure that we're staying on top of things. You guys do a great job. So also, one last thing, I'd like to thank Miss York for taking care of our meeting needs tonight. She did a great job. Thank you.
She's so low.
Thank you, Mr. Hudson. I, too, would like to express my condolences to the Pendleton family. She obviously made a huge difference in this community and was loved by so many people. And that's, I think, what a lot of us strive for is to try to make a difference. And she was, without question, a difference maker. So prayers to her family. Wanted to thank Mr. Kegels for finally getting those tennis courts done. North sides look fantastic. And I've seen some pictures of the other ones. It's nice that we were finally able to get those done. Tomorrow night at Northside, Jim Hickam recognition night. Coach Hickam made a big difference in numerous generations of families there in the Northside community. So those that may be watching tonight and hadn't heard about that, they're gonna just honor Coach Hickam tomorrow night. And the last thing, I will keep this brief, unlike my other board members. We did go to some VSBA training last month in Charlottesville, and Gina Patterson recommended, she said we're meeting too often, so it really has nothing to do with the fact that Virginia Tech is playing West Virginia on the 22nd, or that the Browns are playing the Steelers on the 22nd, but we will not be meeting on September 22nd. So our next, we're going to go back to one meeting a month here, I believe, through the rest of the year. So with that.
One more thing.
Oh, hit that gavel. Hit it.
Mr. Ray.
The mascot. And I thought that was a great idea. And Miss Griffin called me last night and she said, what do you think? You think it'd be all right if I would bring a mascot? I don't really, whatever you think. And I said, bring Hootie on.
Yes, Hootie was a hit.
It's a great addition.
With that, meeting adjourned.
Quick.